Alrighty, what is going on, and welcome back to another episode of What's Next. As today we will be discussing what is next for the Miami Heat after being swept by the number 3 seed Milwaukee Bucks. As a Heat fan, it definitely hurt, but I mean, there's a lot of stuff that I expect to be done. So let's look at the free agents quickly. We have guys like Victor Oladipo, who of course was injured for a ton of this time he was in Miami. I think within like 4 games or so, he hurt his knee and was out for the season. He got surgery recently, and he's gonna be out for it's looking like maybe most of the next season too. So I'm not really sure if we're gonna try to re-sign him just because obviously he's injured, or maybe even let him walk because he is on a decently big contract. So I'm not really sure what the case with that is going to be. Another guy is Goran Dragic, who has a $18 million player option, or sorry, team option. Um, and being 35 years old, I really do think that the Miami Heat will decline that, maybe try to re-sign him on a smaller deal, because I really don't think that we're gonna be bringing Goran Dragic, an average point guard, back for 18 million a year. I think it might just be better. I know that he definitely likes being with Miami, and I think that he would definitely be willing at 35 years old to decline the player option, maybe take a pay cut. Same goes to Andre Iguodala, who I know is a big fan of Heat culture. He's 37 years old. He's on the $15 million option, and it is the team option. So I think that the Heat will probably decline both, whether they come back or not. I think that we're probably going to decline. I don't think that Andre Iguodala is ready to hang it up yet. I think he can definitely come back for a few more seasons for leadership, defense, and scoring too. But I think that definitely the Heat are going to probably decline the $18 million option for Dragic and the $15 million for Iguodala. Maybe try to re-sign him on smaller deals, like I said. But Trevor Ariza is a free agent too. He's unrestricted. Most of these guys are unrestricted. He was a big help. He was the starting four for most of the time he was here since we traded him for Myers Leonard from the OKC Thunder. And he's been a pretty big help. He's 36 years old, but he's really been a good experience leader and just a good four in general by scoring. Like, he's almost like Jay Crowder, basically. He's a good defensive player, good offensive player, and he's just been fitting well, just like Jay Crowder has been. And we only gave him up for Myers Leonard in a second, so that is, in my opinion, definitely a steal. And I'm not really sure what they're going to plan on doing. I think that they might try to let him walk as he is on a $13 million option, and maybe maybe just try to sign just like a temp, not a temp, a permanent four, stretch four that can play defense and offense, just like maybe a guy like Trevor Ariza or Jay Crowder, except maybe younger and for long term instead of just like a 1 year deal. Because we traded for Jay Crowder, he ended up walking the following off season. We traded for Trevor Ariza, and I think he's gonna end up probably walking too, unless he wants to re-sign on a cheap deal. But like I said, he's 36 years old, so I really don't think it's gonna be for like a 3 year deal. That's why I said try to maybe get it like a young player who we can sign for a long term. But Nemanja Bjelica, who we traded for, he's an unrestricted free agent. We traded Chris Silva and Mo Harkless at the trade deadline. Definitely not lived up to the expectation I believed. I thought he would be the starting four, but he ended up not really getting many 2 minutes at all. He was in the rotation, but he just never really got the chance to play. And it was only in garbage time minutes would he play. And I mean, in those garbage time minutes, let me be honest, he would hit some deep threes and get on fire, but it was not really that good for the actual game time. And it looks like we're probably gonna let him walk. I don't really think he's worth the re-sign. With guys like Kawhi Leonard possibly on the market, I don't really think we're gonna re-sign him. UD is a free agent. He's unrestricted. He's on the minimum and stuff, but I really don't want to I mean, I know that he's like a Heat legend and all that. We all know that. But he's 41 and he doesn't play at all. We saw, I mean, his per 36 stats are like 48 points per game, and like it's crazy. But I just really don't. He takes up a roster spot. I think he can just retire and become a coach. But now moving on to some, or I guess we have one more unrestricted. Dwayne Dedman, who we signed earlier mid-season. He's on the minimum contract. He's on like a 500 grand contract. But he is a free agent, unrestricted. He's 32, but he was a big help. He was our backup big basically, who's put in with behind Bam because Precious really wasn't working out too well, as at least more than I thought. But Dwayne Dedmon was a really, really good pickup. Now thinking about it, I'm kind of glad that we did not sign LaMarcus Aldridge because we would have had to pay him a bit, and then he would have ended up retiring. It looks like mid-season, after a couple games. Who's the other guy? Oh, dude, I'm forgetting his name. Gorgie, no. Yeah, it was Gorgie Jang who was a free agent, and I really wanted to sign him, but he didn't really get too much playing time with San Antonio, so I'm not really sure if he would have been better with us or something. But another guy was DeMarcus Cousins, who went to the Clippers, who could have went to the Heat, but instead, I mean, he hasn't really been getting too much playing time in the playoffs. So it looks like Dwayne Dedmon was a pretty good pickup, if I'm being honest. He literally led the team, and he was our best player in the Bucks series, which isn't really a good thing considering nobody did well. But I mean, it's good to know that he's still out there. And then of course you've restricted free agents like Max Strus and Gabe Vincent, who I don't really think are gonna. I mean, we might take them back, but it's gonna be on a cheap deal anyways. But I think one of the top things here for the Miami Heat this offseason, Duncan Robinson and Kendrick Nunn, both restricted free agents. Duncan Robinson, 27 years old, and we put him into the starting lineup a year last season, and he's just been fitting in really, really well, especially with Spoelstra's offense. And I mean, he's just a 3-pointer specialist, and he's just a shooter. He literally does not do anything else. He's just a shooter. You need 3 points, give him the ball, he'll hoist it up into the rim, and he makes it. There's 3 points for your team right there. And he can add 20 points onto your team every single game. So he is definitely a player who I would really want to bring back. Except we look at guys like Joe Harris, who got the bag last season, and I'm kind of worried that Duncan Robinson's going to get offers from literally a team like New York, like the Knicks or something, that's going to offer him the max. But there's going to be teams that are going to offer him literally up to 20 mil, which kind of scares me because I really want to bring him back. But with guys like I said, we have Oladipo being a free agent, then we have Kawhi Leonard, who could possibly decline his player option, which I think he's going to accept in the end. But, just in case. And I just really don't want to pay $20 million for Duncan Robinson. Because another guy is Kendrick Nunn, who has obviously been getting interest from different teams. He's only 26 years old. He's been the starting point guard at least throughout the regular season for Miami for a bit, and he was undrafted, signed by the Warriors to their G League or something, or Summer League, whatever, and then he moved to the Miami somehow. I don't really know how he moved into the NBA, and boom, he's the starting point guard now for the past 2 years for the Miami Heat, and he was the starting point guard for the NBA Finals team. So, the problem is that he's going to get up to 15-20 million a year, just like Duncan Robinson. Probably a bit less than him, but I feel like another team being like the Knicks, they're definitely going to try to snag Kendrick Nunn to put with Derrick Rose if they want to re-sign him. And I just don't really see how we're able to re-sign all of these guys, being Ariza, Dragic, Iguodala, Duncan Robinson, Kendrick Nunn, Dwayne Dedmon, and Oladipo, unless they all want to take a pay cut possibly. But seeing all of their increased roles on this team, it kind of gives me the hint that we're probably not going to be able to re-sign all of them, which kind of sucks. But in the end, the Heat have a big offseason ahead of them. It was kind of a disappointing season going out in the first round, but of course they did have some injuries that affected them earlier in the season, being Jimmy Butler getting COVID, Bam Adebayo with his... It wasn't really him, honestly. It wasn't really him. It was mainly Jimmy Butler, but if Jimmy Butler's injured, he's our whole entire team. If he's injured, the whole entire team is basically injured. That's what I'm trying to say. But it's going to be a fun offseason ride for the Miami Heat. Is Damian Lillard an option? Is CJ McCollum an option? I don't know. I don't know. It would be really, really fun to get Damian Lillard. I'm not really sure what type of pieces we would have to throw in that trade. Probably, definitely a guy like... Or maybe Zach LaVine or Bradley Beal. But for those three guys, we would have to throw in at least Hero and Duncan, and maybe even Nunn, Precious, or Dragic or something to make contracts work. But hey, I would definitely love a Dame trade. I mean, you have Dame, Butler, and Bam at least for sure in the top three, and then you may have... I don't even know who we would give him in that trade, so I'm not even going to for sure confirm that we would have Duncan or Kendrick Nunn or Tyler Hero still on the roster. if we had to give up the whole entire roster, I would still literally start Max Strus at the 4 and Gabe Vincent at the 2 and have Dame, Jimmy Butler, and Bam Adebayo run the whole entire offense and defense. But that will wrap up the video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you think Miami can do, whether it's re-signing different guys or signing different guys or re-signing their own guys, maybe making a trade for a certain player. I'm not really sure what Eric Spoelstra and Pat Riley are up to, but hey, whatever it is, it's definitely something good. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.